and I'll record this so I can chop it up later on and share it on Facebook, Instagram, stories, and TikTok. So if y'all don't get a chance to watch it live, you'll be able to see it later on. And so without further ado, let's get into it. Basically, we're going to talk about graphic design. We're going to design a t-shirt. I did it the other day, kind of like a trial run of the video software, and it worked better the other day. Maybe there's more network traffic today, which is Saturday, and maybe that's why it's slowing us down. We have like one of the best internet connections you can get, but I guess the network overall is being hit pretty hard, again, because maybe it's the weekend. Either way, like I said, I'll be recording the video, so we're going to go ahead and do a design. I'm going to show you some shortcuts on ways you can kind of get your design started. I'm going to show you where you can kind of find some ideas you can pull from in case you kind of get stuck with one of your designs. I'm going to show you some of the tools I use, and let's see. So I have my other camera face down the desk, so you can see the tools that I'm using, one of which is the macro pad from One Keys. Let me swap cameras so you guys can see that right quick. And that's that. It's a macro pad, 16 keys. I believe this is the Super 16 version 2. And it has the option to have 2 encoders. There's no soldering required, so if you want something like this, you can build it pretty easy. I bought these keycaps from Amazon, so I can kind of just print out the labels and stick the labels in it. But of course, you could always just use letters or other things, or keep them clear if you have a good memory, or whatever you want to do. But that is the macro pad. Also, I'm working on a new Apple. I'm working on a 2022 MacBook Pro with M1 Pro. So if you're wondering about the software that you see on the screen or the computer that's running it, it is in fact the MacBook Pro. You can kind of see the corner of it right here. It has a wrap, so it may not look silver, but that's the MacBook. Also, over here is the desktop. This is the Windows PC running Ryzen. This is one of my other editing machines when I'm typically on the go. So normally I'm using my MacBook to do all my editing and graphic design. But this is running the video editing video streaming software right now. So this computer in the background is running, and that's what's actually capturing and recording and saving all the video right now. So with all that out the way, I'll show you a couple other tools that we're going to be using for this first video for sure. We will be using the Wacom Intuos Pro. This is the medium size, and it's relatively large, so that they do make a large size, which is even larger than this. I can't imagine most people need anything much bigger than the medium, but they do make a large if you want a cool pen tablet to use to draw on. This is the pen that comes with it. It's the Pro pen. It's pretty good product there. Has the eraser option on the end, has replaceable tips, and also comes with, inside the little puck, there's even more tips you can see in there, so it does come with quite a bit. So you do get quite a bit for your money if you're looking for a tablet drawing and not just use a mouse or a trackpad all the time. Let me stick this back on here. And it's pretty cool. It just kind of like sandwiches together and half twist once you got it lined up anyway. There we go. So that's that. You may see this. This is the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. We typically edit our videos with DaVinci Resolve, and this is the speed editor you can get. There was a deal on it. Now it's not. I think it's like $350, which is still a great deal for what it does. We may get a chance to use this in this video. If not, we'll use it in another one, but I'll share the slice of video relatively quick. And again, like I said, if you missed the live stream, we'll post the videos on TikTok or YouTube. We have a YouTube channel now, and Facebook as well, so you'll get to see all that kind of stuff. So you'll see me shift from the work area. My desk is relatively large and got too much stuff on it right now, if I'm being completely honest. But anyways, so yeah, without too much further ado, let's get into it. So again, we're working on the MacBook. So the software that I typically use to design in is Affinity Designer. There's nothing wrong with Adobe products, but they do cost a ton of money. Over a period of time, you buy Affinity Designer or Affinity products. We use Photo Designer and Publisher, We have it on the iPad and on the Mac. It's 2 separate purchases. It's completely worth it. Again, I've used Adobe Photoshop. That's what I learned on. It's more of a cost thing because it does essentially the same thing. So it doesn't really make much sense to pay for something that doesn't do a whole bunch more. It does do a couple things that Affinity Designer doesn't do, but Designer has, I think, a few little things that Photoshop doesn't. So it's kind of a trade-off, but overall, there's nothing really bad about it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is first we're gonna go to File, we're gonna go to New, and we're gonna create a new template. So we use print because when we typically doing a shirt, we do it as print. It's not going to be for the web, so it's actually going into a physical object. We're doing business cards, flyers, billboards, posters, banners, whatever. It's typically going to be under print. So we'll do A4, which is normal size, a regular sheet of paper. We can kind of use A4 because we're going to design as a PNG, and we can eyeball and get an idea of the size and like the proportions on the A4 sheet of paper, because most people know what an A4 sheet of paper looks like, and we can always scale it up because we're going to do it as a PNG, which means that we can scale it up without much issues. So we shouldn't have much of a problem when it comes to that. This is landscape and portrait. We'll just do it in portrait because I already know what design I'm doing. Like I said, I did this design the other day, and I did a test run on the video, but I didn't like the quality of it, so I'm redoing it again, and I'm going to actually record it and not pull it from Facebook because the quality from Facebook honestly wasn't that good. It compressed the video a lot. So to give y'all a better product, I just figured I'd just do the whole video again. So one of the first things we can go and do is, I guess I should tell you what shirt we're doing. So first off, like I said, I finished the design for the most part. It's not 100% done. Most of your first designs are not going to be, they're not going to be 100% the first time. There'll be some revisions. Typically, if you do it right, that's not to say you won't have a good design the first time, but a lot of times you'll think about something and make some small tweaks that do make the end result a little bit better. And there's nothing wrong with that. So just expect that that's whether you're doing videos, photos, anything creative for the most part. A lot of times you'll want to do it more than one time, or be willing to tweak the design. So the first thing we're going to do is the idea behind this shirt was to be a kind of funny shirt that says some people need to trim their bush. It's like a funny shirt. And one of the great things about bushes to trim or many trees is a bonsai, which most people know from movies like The Karate Kid and stuff like that. Most people know what a bonsai is. So now there's a few different options you can do. What some people might do, if you're just starting or you don't know any better, you might type in and you might go bonsai tree clip art. Let's see. You might type it into Google, and Google will bring this up. You'll look at images, and there'll be a flock of images that you can pick from. A lot of times these trees will be super expensive. If you go to most of these services, they'll want you to use a monthly service to do them. It won't be like, okay, I want to buy just this image, and if it is, it'll be a pretty ridiculous price. Some people might take the image, clip it, and try to trace it, or try to use the image as is in their stuff, which is, not exactly the best thing to do, but people do it. But there are websites now that make it a lot easier, and some people might not think about it, because if you look around here, almost none of these, okay, so you see Etsy here, you see Etsy's here, you see Etsy here, Etsy here, and you see there's just a price, $2.49. So the tree I chose was in a place I like to go get a lot of vector stuff from, is Etsy itself. So now I'm on Etsy. It knows I searched before in the previous video, so you'll see some stuff already automatically pop up. Already bought the design already, but I'll show you what I did, and it was actually on sale when I bought it. Okay, it's actually still on sale now. I paid $1.98 plus tax of $2 and some change. to get this design, and I got it in a JPEG, PNG, EPS, and SVG format, which is great because it gives you the ability to use it for print. PNGs typically have no background, which makes it great for that. JPEG may be better for other things you're doing, just depending on how it goes. EPS and SVG are better when you want to like use a Cricut or some other plotter to cut it out, to cut the graphic to make a sticker or something like that that you want to do. So all those are included. More importantly though, is when you come down here, and this is important, it said do not sell as an ad, slogan, or other graphics. So this is the terms of use, and this is the important part. Basically what it's going to tell you, as you'll see on most of these, is that you cannot use it or sell it as it already is. So let's see, licensed single user. So again, single user, a business also counts as a single user, as a single entity that's using it. So you cannot be resold, so you can't resell it again to someone else. You can't sub-license it based, like you can't rent it out or put it in a package and then redistribute it anyway, which we don't really plan on doing. That's digitally as it is. See, items downloaded can be used to create personal projects as artwork added to your finished product for sales for client purposes. There's no limit on the number of products you can create with each graphic for personal or commercial use. So these are important parts. The only restriction is that the art purchase cannot be used in the creation of other digital graphics for resale. So basically, they don't want you reselling their image as it is. You can modify it, you can tweak it, you can add other elements to it, and then you can use it for personal or commercial products, which is important because we're doing commercial products, and there's no limits. So if we sold 1,000 t-shirts, 10,000 t-shirts like this, we have the ability to do it without any legal repercussions by using this graphic. It only costs us like $2 and some change, and it saves us a whole bunch of time from trying to surf the internet and find something, or trying to live trace an image we pulled off the internet from somewhere. So this is by far a much better way to go. So with that said, this is the tree that we purchased. So this is going to be the tree that we use in our actual design. So in Affinity Designer, if you're not familiar with it, there is no insert like I think Photoshop still uses insert. There's place. So we're going to go to place. As you may see, or if you got a keen eye, these are the graphics that I already created. So what we want to do is go to where I saved the tree, which should be, I believe, my downloads folder. Let's see. I can probably type it because it'll probably come. Okay, there it goes at the top already. All right, so we have bonsai tree clip art. We're going to open this one. This is the PNG, so we know it has no background, and we'll just place it right here. As you can see clearly, this tree is way too big for the area that we're working in, so we will shrink it down and move it to our canvas so it is a usable size, and then we can zoom back into the canvas. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and swap over to the actual Wacom tablet because we're gonna do more of the art bits. So let's go ahead and turn this on and get ready to go. This really is a great tool to use. It does make life a whole lot easier in some aspects. If you're used to a mouse and a keyboard setup, you can definitely do that. You don't need to get one of these, but once you get used to it, I think it's kind of like the way to go. The pen itself has 2 buttons, a bottom button and a top button. It's all customizable in the software. Excuse me. The top button set as a undo button. The erase the pen draws. The combination with the macro pad has a lot of the hotkeys I'll use. Let me swap camera so I can show you guys. Again, I know it's gonna be hard to see because I have the lights on. So let me bring down the brightness so you can see. Of course, it's also RGB lighted or lit. But anyways, let's see if I can get it to focus. All right, there you go. So you guys can see all the hotkeys. So we have copy, duplicate, the arrow key, paintbrush, color picker, eraser, pen tool, quite a few. One of the probably most important to me is the rotate thing, and I'll explain why that's important to me in a second. So so let's get started. Hopefully this thing isn't too loud, me rubbing on my thing. We're just turn the gain down. It should be alright, I think, though. Hopefully it's not too annoying to you guys or whatever. But I used this glove because with the glove, it doesn't pick up your hand movement. So what you'll see is if you touch this, let's see, if you touch the thing with 3 fingers, you can actually pinch and zoom, and I may have rotation locked, but you can rotate it. And what happens is when I don't have my rotation locked often, I'll do this or have my hand on it, my palm on it, and it'll pick up while you're writing with a pen. It'll pick up 3 touches, and 3 touches will cause it to auto rotate or rotate, and it's a pain in the butt to get back once you do allow it to rotate. So as you can see right now, it's not doing it, which is fine. But the rotate button I have on the macro pad is to adjust it when it does kind of get out of hand, because it's a pain in the butt to try to adjust manually with a trackpad trying to get the rotation right. So rotate it just snaps it back to snaps it back to where it's supposed to be. All right, anyway, let's make this a little bit larger. So first we have our bonsai tree, and as you can see how it is, it's fine. Let me show the layers. Layers panel works just like Photoshop. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, layers function exactly the same way. It's a layer-based system. The higher things are to the top, it's like stacks of paper. What's on the top you'll see first. What's on the bottom you'll see last. And one of the pro tips I like to do to see what it looks like, most of our designs will go on a t-shirt of some type or some color material, sometime white, sometime colored. What I like to do is actually add a background. It may seem a bit counterintuitive, but what I would do is I would add a background. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make a square like that, and I'll adjust it to kind of fit the canvas. Again, hopefully it's not picking too much scratchiness. I'll set it to white, and then what I'll do is I'll pull this canvas and put it under the bonsai tree. So now we can actually see our bonsai tree, and we have an idea what it will look like. So it's a little bit easier to see what we have on the canvas itself. It does have the option where you can do a gang of things or whatever. There are hotkeys to do what I'm about to show you, but there's a few different things that you can do. So let's click over here, and you can rotate the tree left, right, or whatever like that. You can also flip it or align it. So we can align it and we can transform it. So what we can do is we see how the tree looks now, but we can flip it. We can flip it horizontally like that. So now we have this bush on this side going this direction and that direction. So it's kind of artistic taste. Would we rather have it looking like this or like that? Right now I'm kind of leaning to it this way, the way it came, but just know that you can flip the artwork around and get a better look at it and try to make a decision what you think may look better. So in the previous video I did, like I said, I did all this before and I talked about it. It was like 2 hours long, but we're basically doing the same thing over again. The next thing you want to do is we want to add text, and what I'll do is I guess I can show you the finished product, but also I can show you in Affinity Designer how to add text. The text is super easy. There's a text tool, but there's a trick. So what we want to do is we want to have the text going on an arc over the tree. In Affinity Designer, it can follow shapes. Well, they are like smart snapping of smart shapes. Holding shift keeps the shape perfectly like proportioned and like squared up. So you can see it holding shift makes it go from being an oval to a circle, which is what we want. And then what I want to do is I want to move this again. As you can see, the macro pad came in handy, and we have the kind of the tree like that. So this is our circle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our text tool as you see when it gets close, it has this little like wavy pattern under the bottom, like a little wavy line. That means it's now snapped to the smart shape. And I can already tell you it's 12 point, which is going to be way too small. So we'll make it bigger. And now we can use our keyboard and we can type in the text. Now, this text does not look all that hot at all, and as you can see, it's not perfectly proportional, like center of the photo or the image. So we can take this little green bar and we can rotate it around until we get roughly the idea and put the words kind of where we want them. And I can tell you that this text doesn't look like, it's not really appealing at all. So what we can do is we can select all of the text by double tapping. And what we can do is we can come to the text area, and what we can do is we can look through the text that we have. And as you see, you can just kind of press down on your space bar, scroll through the mouse, and you can see the different kind of text that we have. And of course, you can always resize them. You can choose the different variants. Pretty much there's no limit to the text. Even some of the more specialized text will still go around with no problem. Like, I thought that text was kind of interesting. Let's zoom in some. This that one I thought was kind of interesting or whatever, but I don't think it quite fit the design. So what I want to do is I want to find a text that's a little more I guess Asian inspired, or like, because Bonsai is like well known obviously from the movie The Karate Kid or whatever, and I wanted the text to be a little more aggressive and more to kind of fit that vibe, and this is more of a video game style text. So what we should do, what you can do, because I don't have, I have the text now because I downloaded it already. Because like I said, I did this design already, and you may have seen it if you follow us on our Facebook page or Instagram post, because this design is already kind of posted on Instagram. But anyways, what we want to do is we'll let's take the glove off for a second, and we'll cut back over to the trackpad. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you where to get text from. One of the coolest places I found to get text from, and it's been around for a long time, and you may be familiar with it, is the website called Dafont, DAFONT.com. So this website has thousands of text. And when I say thousands, right now it's 65,119 different fonts that they have. Some with accents, some with European symbols, other symbols of other languages too. These are just on the first ones on the first page that they show you. There's also a bit you can search up here. So if you search, let's see, spelled it wrong, tripping. All right, let's go. It'll pull up either way. So we have these different fonts, as you can see, and these are all Japanese inspired fonts. Like something like that could potentially work. It's got the old like bamboo style vibe to it, so I can kind of dig it. Some of these is too much like that. This one will be probably too hard to read. Special characters or whatever they use to create symbols. I'm not sure these symbols are actually accurate or not. I have to research it, which is something you always do when you're doing, especially if you're using symbols from another language that's not native. You should probably check and make sure and verify those symbols are actually what they are, and realize the way language works is not just a matter of spelling a word in the English way. That's not how it works. Anyway, none of these kind of work, but that lesson shows you kind of more to prove my point. You can search other style fonts. So we went more broad, like in Asian, and we typed in Asian, so fonts with the Asian in the name, Asian inspired. So this is more, again, more aggressive and kind of what I was thinking about. Something like this, the one that says Asian Ninja. That one's not too horrible. It's a little bit hard to read, but I mean, you could definitely probably get away with that too for the design. I'm thinking this one might be a little bit too much. This is probably too plain. That's too fancy. But again, I want to show you something else. Is sometimes it's like when you do marketing, you want to use terms that's kind of similar to the thing that you're looking for or that you can reference. So like we're looking for a font that's more based on like that aggressive, like stuff you see like in 80s karate style films or design or art. And one of the things that we found, actually let me just open a different page and I'll show you my thought process. I'm trying to think. I went for Karate Kid, I think. Was it Karate Kid I looked up? Let's see. I might have spelled that wrong because I'm kind of like doing two things at once. Okay, so what I did was I went looking for the Karate Kid. And when you did, it popped up almost immediately with the bonsai, which was the bonsai on the gi that Daniel wore from Mr. Miyagi. And you'll see it in the Miyagi-Do karate logos. And we don't want to carbon copy this or whatever because I think we could do a little bit better. But as you can see, this is actually a patch. And what I noticed in the patch is the top of the patch. And I think it's just the way the patch looks. But the top portion up here of the patch looks darker than the bottom. But I think that's just the way they took the picture of the patch, which made me think about doing more of a sun in the background on our bonsai too, but doing something more with a gradient. So it's not like this one where it's just an orange background. We want to do something else that's a little more than that. But again, this art style, the font rather, really got my attention, and it was kind of more the idea what I was thinking about. So I went back to the font, and then I typed in, we're going to type in karate and see what we come up with. And as soon as we typed in karate, the first font that we get is a font called karate. And we have a couple different fonts and like 4 to choose from. Say it's 4. And what we're going to do is we can go to click on the karate font. The cool part about the font.com is it shows you all the characters that are included. So uppercase letters are obviously these. The lowercase looks exactly almost like the uppercase. They just smaller letters, which is a stylized choice by the person who created the font. Then you have the numbers, and there's a few symbols. And it shows if you select that symbol on the keyboard, that is a symbol that you'll get. So that's the symbols they have. The next thing is you can type in words at the top and click submit, and it will actually change the actual word here on the screen. As you can see, we typed in test, hit test, and it showed us test. We'll make it a little larger, and now it shows us what our words are like in the font. So if you have words specifically that you want to look up, that you can type and get a preview of right here, or the whole string of text really. So that's pretty cool. The next thing you can look at is over here. This font particularly is 100% free. A lot of these fonts are not free. A lot of these fonts are free for personal use, but they aren't free for commercial use. The ones that aren't free for commercial use often have the ability where you can pay a small fee, relative, I guess, small fee to use the font. But that fee changes based on the person who does it. It could be $20, it could be $200 for up to 1,000 items. It could be $500 for unlimited items. It just depends on who creates the font. The cool part about this one, it works out perfectly for what we're doing, and it's 100% free. So right now, we've paid $2 and a couple pennies, like $2.08 or $2.28, something like that, for the bonsai tree. And now we have the font that we're using, and we got it 100% free from the font.com. We click download. It takes you to a link on Apple. It's pretty easy. You go to your downloads folder, you click the font. It'll ask if you want to install it. You click yes, you click install, and then the font is added to everything system-wide, which is actually much easier, I think, on Apple than it is to add fonts to Windows. But you can look it up. It's not rocket science. You can definitely do it. So if we go back to our Affinity Designer, like I said, I've already downloaded this font already. So what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll type in karate. And as you can see, we already have the font that is karate. So it ought to, right now, the design looks a whole lot better, even though we haven't done a whole bunch to it. We just basically have our bonsai tree, and we have some people need to trim. All right, so that's it. So let's go. We're gonna make another down here. We'll make all the first letters capital Y. Not. We'll just go with it for now. Highlight that. We'll change that to karate. Also, change that font. I don't think it's big enough or large enough rather. So again, let's swap back down to the macro pad so you can see, and I'll use my macro pad to do something. So I clicked off the letter. As you can see, it's A. Macro pad for arrow, that way I can click and move my design around. And there's a couple different options, like we can do that. And some people, if you're beginning, you may leave it like this. There's another trick you can do. See, that's a good teachable moment right there. So what happened was I clicked and I thought I was gonna highlight the area. What it did was actually click the rectangle. So come over here to the layer that's the rectangle, which is the bottom, and click the lock. And now the rectangle is locked. So now I can click in this area and I can grab all my parts. I can come up to the top and there's an alignment tool. I want to align it vertically, like trying to center everything. And as you can see right now, the tree is centered, but it looks uncentered because the tree actually bends. So if you look at the center of the tree, it's probably here. Even as place your eyes and make it look like it's not. So this text, their bush at the bottom, looks like it's not actually centered to the design. So with something like this, I'd probably move it more this way, just because it messes with people's eyes. I think that way it looks less centered. Even though right now it's technically not centered, it looks more centered than it did before. So the next thing I thought about in this design was it looked too plain. Like I said, some people will probably put this on a t-shirt and try to get some money for it and call it a day. I wouldn't really be happy with it. You know, it's really it needs something else to kick up the design. So that's not, I think we should go with the sun in the background. So we're gonna hold shift to make it circle, or perfectly circle. And then up here, as you can see, there's a white, black in the back, and a white up here. You can see where my mouse is. Let's see, there you go. So you can see the white is here. That is the fill. This is the outline. Right now, we don't need a fill. We just want the outline. Well, actually, I guess we could do the fill. So let me show what we're gonna do with. We will fill it, and I'll show you what we're gonna do with it. We can remove the background because the trim, the outline, because it's not really necessary. We'll hotkey back to the arrow so we can maneuver this around. And I already got the trackpad out, so I'll just keep on using this for now. What I want to do is I want to move my circle, which will be behind this. I want to move this above it too. I think I want to move this layer completely. There's some people need a trim, and realistically we probably should have done our sun first, and I'll explain why I said that in a second, but we'll move this up out the way. Keep in mind that circle is just a circle that the text is on. It's not actually the circle that we're using for the sun. So you see that circle right here, and maybe too big, maybe too small. We can resize it. But in Designer, if you go in under effects, you can do a gradient overlay. So we click this, you'll see that we have this cool gray, black, light gray to basically white gradient, but it doesn't quite do what I want to do. And I was thinking about doing like the Karate Kid orange Mr. Miyagi type sun. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, and what I want to do is I want to fade it from the top to the bottom, like I think I saw in the patch, even I know which is the way the picture was taken. So now I have my darker color at the top and my lighter color at the bottom. I'll click in here. As you can see, there's black I can go to color, and what I want to do is I like the Mr. Miyagi, the orange they had going on, so I want to go more with an orange shade, something I really kind of like. Like right there, doesn't look too bad. Maybe a little more orange. Again, it's personal choice. And then at the bottom, you click your little color chip right here where the mouse is, so you can kind of see over here. We're gonna go here and make it yellow, because I kind of like that way the yellow and orange typically fade together. So we're gonna go that way. So as you can see right now, we have two shades. We have an orange at the top, and we have more of the bright yellow at the bottom, and you can kind of go with that. Sometimes I like to play with, and I'll add other spots in between there. So we go here, we can go to insert, and add a third chip, so we can kind of maneuver this around and pull the colors more, kind of like we want to pull them. So we want to get something that we kind of like. So I'm pulling that down. I brought the gradient down so I have more orange at the top. And I think I actually like it that way better than having it half and half like it was. So right now I think the sun is pretty good. Another choice that I would choose to make, I think, is there's two things you could do. Right now there's some breathing room on the side of the bonsai tree along the limbs, and this sun itself kind of comes down to around where the base of the tree starts. But what throws it off is, again, the way the tree is designed, which is great to me. It represents a bonsai, which doesn't grow straight typically, but it makes it look off. If you look at it, it looks like it's not centered. So if we go to layers, say let's take so we have the bonsai tree selected. We'll hit Command or Control, and we'll select the ellipse, ellipse rather, which is our sun. And if we go here and realign those center, that's center. Those two parts are perfectly centered. Okay, my the Wacom tablet went off. But it's perfectly centered, and as you can look at the bottom, the inner design itself, it looks like the tree is off center just because the design of the tree. Again, it's the same thing like with the text. It kind of just plays with your eyes. So we want to go ahead and try to do something about it, even though I really do like the way this sits. So if you brought the tree down farther away from the base, you get something like that, and it's just not quite as appealing. So what I think a better option would be, instead of having breathing room on the inside of the tree, let's have the tree kind of breaking out like the sun is going down behind the tree. So what we can do is we can actually take the tree, and we can make the tree a little larger, and let's put the tree, let's get this out of our way. Let's pull this down and get this out of our way. We'll get that out the way for a second too. And as I can see, I need to pull my rectangle up, but it's all right for now. All right, so what I want to do is I want to work mainly on the bonsai tree and getting it kind of the way I think I like it. And right now, I kind of like a little bit hanging out the sun, but I think the sun is just a little bit too big. So we're going to play around with that and maybe move it something like that. Let's see. And I'm just kind of playing around with it, trying to get it more just in a spot that I think is visually appealing. So I'm just playing with the size of the tree versus the size of the sun. So right now, I think that's not too bad. But what you'll see is once we zoom in, if we pull our text down, okay, it's not too bad actually. It's not too bad. But I think I want to make this text a little bit bigger. Let's go 32 and see where it is. And we'll swing it around and make it more center like that. Okay, so right now, I think that this design as it sits is way better than we started off with. But I think this text is too small to pull off what we want to pull off. So what we need to do, and I think the proportion of the tree to the sun right now is okay. So what I want to do is take the tree and again I'll swap to my other view so you can kind of see what I'm doing on the macro pad. I know it's gonna be hard to see. I think my camera is, but I'll explain it as I go. So if you look on the actual camera itself, if you're looking at what we got going, you will see the bonsai tree layer and you see the ellipse layer. So again, command control, we're going to select those two layers. And now on my macro pad, I have a button that says group, and we're going to touch those and we group those together. So now we move the tree and the sun, they move together. So they're linked together, we don't have to worry about those moving. So we can put those back down. Let's bring our text down. And like I said, I think this text is still a bit on the small side. So let's try something like 35. And again, we have to rotate it around and make it kind of make some sense and be a little more centered. As you can see, there is a little gap off to one side of I guess it's me being nitpicky too, but as a designer, I guess you tend to be that way. There's a bigger gap on this, or a larger gap. So what I can do is you can actually pull and push your circle like that to try to get it more of an even gap on both sides, and I'm happy with that. So that's what we have right now, but the text being plain like that looks plain. So I think we can do something a little bit better to the text to make the text pop, and I have an idea of what I can do with the text. So we'll edit it as a layer. So we select the layer, we can go to layer effects, and these are the effects that they have that will affect the text. So if we do something like a blur, you'll see that it affects all the text. So we're just editing all that text all at one time, and really we can group the bottom, and let's see, we should be able to do both of them together. It may make our life easier, it might not, we'll see. So command, click both, we're gonna hit group on our macro pad, and now those are grouped. So if we go to effects, we can test it. We'll go to Gaussian blur, and as you can see, it affects both the text at the bottom and the text at the top. So what I was thinking about was more, at first I thought maybe we could do like something like a there is the outline right here. So I was thinking, okay, maybe we can do more of an outline. We'll pick a color like red, and we can increase the radius. As you can see, it does have an effect, and it has a look, and it does look a certain way, and it's not horrible. But what we could do is we can take the color, we can pull some orange off the top up here. Make sure on Affinity Designer, after you use your color picker, I'll show you again, click your color picker, you go to the color that you want. As you can see, it's big, so you obviously see where you're picking color from. We pick color from the top of the sun. So let's go back here and make sure we pick that. I got a color still. Have a color from the top. Make sure you come back down and click this little color chip. You see the triangle rotated and the color slightly changed, and the color on all our text changed, and it's more of the orange color that it was before. So make sure we're back on our layers, which is this one. This is a new text layer we just created on accident. We don't need, so we'll delete it. All right, this is our text that we just edited. On that layer, we can come back. We see it's orange, so we know it's that layer. We can adjust the opacity of the orange, try to get some different effects. Obviously, increase and decrease in the opacity makes it the color more see-through, so it lightens the color. It's not, I don't like it, so we can play around with doing a couple different things on here, but I think I have an even better option. So what we can do is, if we go here, there's actually a gradient option like we did before. So it's going to be kind of hard to see. Let's zoom in and see if you can see it, that there is an actual gradient. So what we're going to do is we're going to change. We're going to pick the orange again from the top. Start way too far down on my trackpad. Orange from the top. Click our little color chip. It's selected. We're going to pick the lighter color. Use our color picker. Pick some in the yellow. Click our chip. And now you can see the actual text itself starting to have more of a gradient to it. It has so what I want to do is I think I want to change the angle. So as you can see, as I change the angle, it changes kind of the way the color falls onto the outline. So I'm trying to find something that's going to give you more of a color switch and doesn't look so one color. So we have other options we can do too. We can play with the scale, and I don't think that did much on the x-axis. I didn't do a whole bunch on the y-axis either, but the offset does pretty good. Let's put this farther down and let's see if we can get something. All right, this is starting to give us a little more. Let's try doing that and adjusting these. So right now I'm just kind of playing with the sliders, moving big swatches at a time, trying to get something that more matches what I really want the text to do, which is I want the text to have a variant from top to bottom or left to right of some angle that I just kind of really like. And right now it's kind of doing it, but not quite as much as I wanted to do it. Pulling these back to around 100. And I don't think that's going to do much at this angle. Alright, so as you can see right now, the S is red. This is more dark orange. It's more of a pumpkin orange, a lighter orange, yellow orange. And this is more yellow. So right now I have a decent little gradient going across it. And we got that from kind of playing around with the sliders. And now we can actually kind of increase the size of the stroke, the outline of it, and try to find like a happy ground medium. Let's get out of that so I can stop clicking on accident. And right now you can see their bush looks pretty good. So let's go to that layer and select it. So it's actually in a group. So what we need to do right now is you need to ungroup it. There is a shortcut you can do to ungroup stuff. It's Command-Shift-G. And now we can pull their bush. And unfortunately, it just undid all our effects. But I believe we can go back to it. Nope. Okay. That's gradient overlay. Let's outline. Okay. Let's see here. I guess I'll have to ungroup them and go back and add it, but I kind of have an idea of what I was doing. I'm sure there's something I'm missing. So if you know, feel free to comment below as to what I just did. When I broke them, I lost my effects. But again, I kind of know exactly what I want to do now because I saw it. So I just got to go back, play with it a little bit, and get it where I want to get it. But so the problem now is the bush part at the bottom. Do I want to leave their bush at the bottom? An option I kind of came up with the other day was doing two things. So there's a few things you can do. You can finish off this design, which let's go ahead and just finish off the design. Go back to effects, go back to outline. We're going to do a gradient outline, gradient. We're doing linear again. Click it, and we're doing this whole process over again. Yeah, I know I guess the better way may have been doing it separately at first, or at least get them in the right exact area, but I'm about to show you why I didn't move gradient at the bottom. Let's pull some yellow. I think that's okay. Okay, and then we decided we needed to kind of like play with it. So let's close this tab. Let me open it back up again. Actually, what I need to do is change the radius size. All right, so now you can see right now I kind of like it already. It's kind of the same where we had it set up before, even though we didn't have to do much tweaking to it because it wasn't trying to calculate, I guess, the top layer and the bottom layer. So right now I kind of already like where it is. So I'm going to click close, and I think the outline is large enough for the design. So going to layers, same thing there, bush. This is the tedious part of graphic design work. Outline, gradient. Once you do it a few times, you get it down and it becomes relatively quick. Once you kind of know what you're doing, what you're looking for. I know if you did what we did, we just did the exact same thing. Let's move this out of the way. As you can kind of see, it's already doing kind of what we want it to do. It's got the yellow to the red and the orange, or rather yellow, orange, and red already. So we're gonna leave it like that for now. So this is the problem. Do we leave the shirt as this is here, which arguably is a better design? I may want to tweak this and bring the radius up just a little bit like that without being too much. I'm trying to find like a sweet spot. I kind of like it. That's not too bad. Now again, the text at the bottom, if we look, let's go back to the layers, look at our tool, and if we come over here and click our actual text, get the text tool, we can see this is actually 45.5 is the size. If we click, some people need, right here is 35. So there is a size discrepancy, 45 versus 35, so 10.5 points. So their bush is a lot bigger. I guess not a lot bigger, but it's noticeably bigger or noticeably larger. So I think I want to do is I think I'm gonna bring this up to be 45 and see what it looks like. So what we need to do is rotate this around, and as you can see, part of the text on trim actually got lost. So right now it's not too bad. I think it is following the tree and the sun pretty close. I don't know for certain that I like it like that, but it's not too bad. So what I think I want to do is I think I want to decrease the arc. So by doing it this way, we'll move this text around like that. And let's move this to more center. I think this has to come around a little bit. So easier to do is look at the edge of the S versus the edge of the M. If they're horizontally across, then obviously that means they're pretty much even. That's pretty close. It has a lot of breathing room around the tree, but on my actual canvas, it's definitely shifted to the right. So what I probably need to do is just move all of this stuff to the right some. Or better yet, I'll just go ahead and center it like that. And then again, their bush is offset. We know why, because the tree looks like that, but it's actually center. We'll move that farther over. So right now, this, as it sits, all right, could actually be the actual finished shirt. So right now I feel okay about the design. Like I said, you'll typically go back and get a couple different revisions or versions before you like it. Like this might be a little bit too tall, too high, and I'm looking at the space between the sun and the points of my letters and trying to get a good eyeball and make sure they kind of like the way I want it. I know the top part has a smaller gap, but I think it's all right kind of how it is. Maybe we want to pull it in some to get it more around the tree, and if so, that's fine. We will just move it around again and try to make sure those are centered. And let's move it. I don't know, maybe that's a little bit neater, I think. Okay, so obviously if you look at the center, you can see that their bush is off centered a little bit. Let's bring it more. And so the problem is you have this plant which has definite edges. Then you have the bush. So if you look here, there's more. If you look where the end of the bush falls, or that point, there's definitely more letter on this side than that side. So as you can see, it's completely mess with your mind, the text versus the bush versus the pot, and there's different ways you can address it. But we can make it even bigger. We can try to space this out evenly with the pot, but then from a distance it might not look centered. If somebody's looking at the shirt, this text will definitely be off center, because we know center is actually somewhere right around this point of the whole image. So the text is actually shifted to the right. So there's a total brain thing going on. But like I said, right here, if someone's standing close to read the shirt, it'd be kind of hard pressed to tell this is really way off center, which it is based on this. But as far as design goes, it doesn't look it. So what I would do is select all of these, and we're going to put them in a group. So now as you can look on the screen, we have a group. So this is all grouped as one whole piece now. So we can move all this together. Let me fix my rectangle while I'm looking at it, because it's about to drive me nuts. Go back. That's close enough. Not perfect, but it's close enough. Like I said, that's just to show us what a background, because you can completely eliminate the background. It's just to make it easier for us to visually see what we're working on. The reason I grouped all this together, again, this is when the macro pad comes in really handy. You can duplicate it with a high key on the keyboard, but again, I have a duplicate button, so I can click duplicate. As you'll see over here now, we have two groups. So this first group is going to be one that it's like version 1, so we already have it, and we're not going to edit or modify it anymore. So we're going to click we're going to actually go ahead and click the check mark, and now that group can't be seen. So this is the top group, that's the bottom group. Basically we have all the sense we have two different groups. So if we destroy this one, we can always go back to the other one. So it's kind of like saving your work. And the cool thing about Affinity, most of the time that it saves like relatively quick. It doesn't spaz out as much as Photoshop does. That's one of the bad things about Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff. Is Adobe is known for having like frightfully like bad optimized software that crashed all the time. People pretty much expect it to crash. So again, not anything out of the ordinary, but I found Affinity to be more stable. But anyways, so let's go ahead and modify this group. So what I did in my previous design, when I designed the shirt is actually on our Instagram page, we'll go ahead and ungroup it, is I actually took out a chunk here, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. Sometimes you can put in a shape like a rectangle, and we'll put the rectangle across here like that. Let's size it this way. If you click off of it, it just looks like the pot is actually like kind of split. It's a pretty big split, but it's a split, and you can just kind of play around with it, bring it maybe a little lower if you want to make it a little lower, and see what it looks like. So what you can do next is you can take their bush, and we can bring that and bring our rectangle to the back. All right. I see what we got going on. So bring the rectangle in the front like this, and we'll bring our bush in front of that. So that way you can kind of see what we have going on. So now we know if we do that and zoom, let's click all that off. So now we have this design, which to me I think is a little more visually appealing. With it splitting the pot like that, it fits in a little bit better. It's still offset because it needs to be offset just based on the design of the thing, but we can move the canvas around and look at it and zoom out a little bit as if we saw it from a distance. Some people need to trim their bush. It's kind of funny. It's the bonsai tree, and what I thought about doing was putting bonsai in some kind of crazy old, like, aggressive, like, retro font, and I hadn't found the font quite just yet. So the design, as if you want to see what the actual design looks like, let's actually go to Instagram account, and I believe it is posted on there. So this is what the shirt looks like, the way that the previous revision that I did, a version I did on my previous live stream that, again, I'm redoing now. So this is why the shirt already exists, but I'm walking you through the exact steps basically that I took to get to this shirt, so you know how we came to this shirt design. So we have the shirt on an actual model, so we can see what it looks like on the actual body, and I actually have it in a few different colors. So if I go to my downloads folder, I believe I have them saved. So this is what it would look like in red, same model, so we can click back and forth, and we know just like that what it looks like between red and white. So we know what white looks like, we know what red looks like. So the skin tone, the way the shirt's falling, it's the same, so we know. So right now I can say I like it in red. I think the text looks kind of fiery with the grading we have going on. The sun looks good on that. The black stands out on red, so it's definitely a design I'd probably want to do on a red t-shirt as well as a white t-shirt. I think that's the two colors that I like the most, and I think that's the two that I kind of spent time to mock up. So those are the first two shirts that we did. If you had checked our Instagram page, check it out. We try to post every day. Sometimes it's just little quotes, sometimes it's shirt designs, sometimes it's just different models, not same shirts, so we can kind of just get more exposure for the shirts. Sometimes we show deals that we have going on, like that was 33% off that day. I think that deal is gone. I'm pretty sure that it is. Another one of the shirts we did, and this is another one of the I think I got this from Etsy as well, the graphic from Etsy. The forks I got and modified, they're from Etsy, but I modified them to fit what I wanted them to do. So again, you can get all these things from Etsy and you can modify them. The circle, I just showed you how to do the text based on the circle. So we took the circle, and instead of we duplicated it. We did the orange circle and used the other circle for the smart text, so you can kind of see, like, I exactly showed you how to do this shirt with the techniques that we just did, that we used. So that is basically that. That is the some people need to trim their bush t-shirt design. That's from start to finish. I think it took an hour and 4 minutes to go through the whole process, and that's with me explaining it. Once you kind of do it and you know what you're looking for, again, I've already done it, so I kind of already knew what I wanted from basically the exact same steps that I told you now. But it's easy to throw on some music and get to work and kind of hammer out designs like this, and then you can put them out and test them in polls and stuff like that as far as social media goes. So the next thing we can do is we can actually take this video footage and we can chop this video footage up into smaller parts, and we can use the video for like Instagram stories, TikTok, and Facebook. So that's a little bit on the marketing side, a little bit of what does they say, behind baseball or behind the curtains or something like that. But anyway, what we can do is you can take this footage, because I actually recorded it through the streaming software now, so I'm getting a 1080 feed that this video will be in. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok will compress the crap out of it, but we have an actual 1080 recording of all this stuff, and then that's when we can use more tools like our Steam Deck to our speed editor to edit the video. So if you guys were curious about how you can market and push out multiple pieces of content a day, it's something like this: doing a video, taking the time, doing a live stream, recording it, or recording yourself throughout the day, depending on what you do, and then you can break it down in bite-sized chunks, and then you can upload those chunks over the next few days or a week, depending on what you're doing, and you can recycle that material and spread out across all the platforms. So the same platform, different platforms might get the same piece of content every day, or a different chunk from it, and then the next day, the next piece of content maybe on other platform, because most people aren't checking your Instagram, your Facebook, and your TikTok all the same time, or your YouTube channel. They may follow you on YouTube, but none of the other ones. They may follow your Instagram, but not your TikTok, or vice versa. So it makes kind of doing the content a little bit easier, and you put enough content on all the platforms. The kind of second thing about TikTok is you try to do tutorials like this, and you can't do it because you need to have a certain amount of people, a certain amount of followers before I'm allowed to live stream. So if you are watching this clip on TikTok and you want to see more of the live stream behind kind of like how we created this design, go ahead and follow, because once we get 1,000 followers, then we can actually live stream on TikTok, and we'll do more videos like this talking about the graphic design part, and also the video part, and the business part. So right now we don't have any viewers, but like I said, I think that's because Facebook software, the live stream is running at like turtle speed, so I don't really blame anybody for not staying today, because I don't know what's going on with Facebook. But anyway, if you have comments about the video or any of the clips, feel free to put them in the comment section below, no matter what you're on: TikTok, Twitch, not Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And then when I see the comments, I'll try to chime in, and we'll try to schedule another live where we can do some more. Maybe if I have time tonight, I'll try to quit this stream we have going now, and then I'll try to do one maybe on our YouTube channel. Maybe that'll be a little bit better than trying to stream on Twitch. Not Twitch, I'm so used to streaming on my Twitch account, on Facebook. And we'll do the video editing part, seeing what we have, and showing you how we can kind of chop up what we have in pieces to put content on other platforms. So I guess, yeah, let's go ahead and end this, and we'll jump into potentially the next video. If not, we'll do that tomorrow. So all y'all have a good night and be safe out there. And of course, like our shirt, also be dangerous. So until next time, y'all be cool.